The Goldstone mansion stood like a glass palace on the hill, cold and breathtaking, owned by billionaire widower Alexander Goldstone, a man whose eyes were the color of winter steel and whose temper was legendary, the kind that cracked granite reputations and sent entire staff running. In just 6 exhausting months, he had fired 101 nannies, maids, tutors, and specialists, all for their inability to handle his 6 rebellious daughters, Ava, Bella, Chloe, Diana, Emma, and Fiona, each a storm of grief and unchanneled emotion after the tragic loss of their mother. The mansion's hallways echoed with slammed doors, shattered vases, and the ghosts of staff who had fled sobbing from the chaos. And the billionaire, though feared in boardrooms, felt powerless in his own home, drowning beneath silent guilt for spending more time with wealth instead of the family his wife had asked him to cherish. Until one rainy morning, the iron gates creaked open, and a woman stepped through with an umbrella tilted just enough to hide her eyes. A tall black woman named Miriam Hart, dressed simply in navy blue with confidence that didn't need couture, who knocked gently and smiled at the butler as if she'd already been expected. Alexander interviewed her with icy skepticism, studying her resume dense with childcare, psychology, and even conflict resolution training. But it was her calm smile that unsettled him more than her impeccable qualifications. So he hired her with the cynical expectation she would last 24 hours. And the girls met her like an ambush, pranks set, traps ready, glitter buckets perched atop doors, fake spiders in bed sheets, water balloons in hallways. But Miriam didn't panic. Instead, she laughed softly, complimenting creativity, asking who engineered each trap like a teacher spotting genius in mischievous hearts, instantly confusing the girls who were used to making adults crumble. Within hours, she found subtle cracks in each personality. Ava craved leadership. Bella hid loneliness behind pranks. Chloe needed structure. Diana feared abandonment. Emma lacked confidence. And tiny Fiona grieved hardest of all. And Miriam didn't lecture, she listened, cooking warm meals with spices that smelled like comfort, and singing lullabies in a voice soft enough to make even the mansion's echo quiet. And one night, when Fiona woke sobbing, Miriam held her gently, whispering truths about love that doesn't vanish, and tears that water the flowers of healing, unaware that Alexander, passing by, heard everything and stood frozen, hollowed by envy that he could not comfort his own child. Days passed. Routines shifted, tantrums lessened, laughter returned, and slowly the billionaire noticed homework completed without threats, bedrooms clean without screaming, daughters hugging each other freely. His assistants whispered rumors. Was this the one nanny who would stay? But Alexander, suspicious, studied her from afar, like a nervous animal guarding its wounds. And Miriam eventually confronted him gently, asking why he avoided dinner, why he escaped into business meetings that didn't matter, and he snapped, his voice booming that she didn't understand this house. But Miriam only reminded him that leadership wasn't barking orders, it was being present. Her words hit like truth forged in fire, and he found himself at family breakfasts again, awkwardly learning how to braid hair, telling stories, laughing rusty laughs that cracked years of emotional rust. The daughters bloomed like flowers returning to sun, but soon rumors of improvement leaked. Tabloids speculated about the mysterious nanny who tamed chaos, and jealous board members questioned Alexander's focus, pushing him dangerously close to firing Miriam to protect his image. Yet when he entered the playroom and found his daughters giggling around a handmade scrapbook dedicated to him and Miriam, drawings, memories, tiny hearts drawn in childish crayon, his own heart cracked open. Tears he'd caged for years escaped, and in the quiet of that moment he realized his empire had always been hollow without this joy, this noise, this love. Then crisis struck. A massive power outage during a thunderstorm left the youngest, Fiona, trapped in the elevator, screaming in terror, daughters panicking, alarms blaring, staff scrambling. But Miriam, calm as ever, coordinated dim flashlights, reassured Fiona through the elevator door with gentle stories about brave little girls conquering storms. And when the doors finally pried open, she carried Fiona out in her arms, earning 6 fierce hugs and one silent, grateful look from the billionaire. That night, Alexander offered her a permanent contract, a generous salary, and full authority over household emotional wellness. But Miriam refused until he promised one thing: to never again hide from his daughters, to be present not just in body but in spirit, and he agreed, voice trembling. Weeks turned into months. The mansion transformed into a home with homemade breakfasts, art projects taped on walls, prayer circles, movie nights on the marble stairs. Alexander's harsh features softened, his laugh lines deepened, and one evening he stood before the girls on the grand staircase, admitting his failures, promising he would never again choose business over their hearts, and they cried and hugged him fiercely. Miriam watched from a distance, eyes shining, knowing her mission was not servitude but restoration. Life blossomed until the day a billionaire competitor visited, mocking Alexander's new priorities, offering triple Miriam's salary if she would work for him. But she refused with a smile that pierced his ego, saying children were not accessories, they were souls. Alexander realized then that Miriam wasn't just a maid. She was a healer whose wisdom was carved from personal loss, years of studying psychology, and deep empathy. Eventually, the girls begged her to stay forever, calling her their angel, and Alexander, humbled beyond measure, offered her Director of Family Development, a title that matched her influence. Standing on the balcony with the sunset bathing the horizon gold, Alexander whispered, "Thank you." And Miriam replied that broken families don't need perfection. They need presence, patience, and love. The girls' report cards soared, their fights vanished, their hearts healed, and newspapers ran features about the billionaire who changed because one woman refused to give up on 6 wounded hearts. The final scene closed on a family dinner filled with laughter, where Alexander tapped a glass and spoke softly to his daughters about gratitude, promising the world, but also their bedtime stories. And the girls shouted, "To Miriam!" raising glasses of juice as she blushed, while sunlight spilled through windows like hope made visible. Proof that sometimes the strongest heroes wear aprons, carry patience, and teach love without needing applause.